All right, welcome back to the Square State Sandlot podcast. We've got another episode here. This is our weekday episode, so John won't be joining us as he is probably working as we speak or sleeping. Can't remember which, but
One of the
Kyle,
two.
glad to have you back. Just want right off the top, I wanted to announce we're gonna have another $20 gift card giveaway. So all you need to do to enter that is we're going to put our picks up tomorrow morning. So by the time you're listening to this, the picks or the post will already be up asking you to enter your picks. And if you beat us in the head-to-head for our pick'ems, you have to beat Kyle, myself, or John, whoever's the best out of the three of us. You have to beat one of us in the, or I guess you have to beat all of us technically in
Yeah,
the
basically.
pick'ems, and whoever can do that will do the $20 gift card. We'll keep that going until someone wins it. So just keep trying. Make sure you get your picks in before the Thursday night football game starts, which I think is 6:20 Mountain Time, if I remember right. So, and then the other thing I wanted to put out there is if any of you are interested in joining us, probably on an episode where either Kyle or John can't make it, one of you could step in as a guest and we could do an interview or just see how you
Absolutely.
fit in with us, and just like to get everyone involved, the followers involved. So um, if that's something you're interested in, just hit one of us up on one of our socials and we'll get in touch with you. So outside of that, Kyle, what do you got going on today?
A little bit of baseball news, I guess. As far as my Bucks, Pittsburgh. They've been kind of the same old stuff. We've actually played Cincinnati really well in this series, which they've kind of had our number all season and historically, last few years. So they won two of the games. So it was really nice. I was looking forward to the game today, this afternoon, but it was on a rain delay, so they moved that to Monday. So that fills that entire week. That was our day off. So we'll see how we finish the season. There's not too many left, but I would say the one big thing coming into play here at the end of the season is Yoshi Tsutsugo. He's been playing unreal for us. His batting average is great. His fielding is great. What he was brought in basically to fill the gap to get into the end of the season, and I think there's going to be a real possibility that he is starting um, going into next season. So I don't know. We'll see what happens, but he's been kind of fun to watch. He's been very consistent at bat, a lot of RBIs, also getting on base, so he's scoring runs pretty regularly. Um, he's just one of those players that was a really nice surprise. So I'm hoping to see him still suited up for the Pirates next year.
Yeah. Um, I don't have too much with the A's. There's a couple rumors swirling around that Bob Melvin and Billy Beane, the president of baseball operations, both of them are on the Mets radar. The Mets have an opening at GM because their GM, I want to say he got caught drunk driving or something like that, and so they let him go. And so Sandy Alderson, who used to be the GM for the A's, probably back, I want to say it was back in the 90s before Billy Beane took over for him. He is now president of baseball operations there in New York. Um, Billy Beane's had the opportunity to leave the A's multiple times before, and he's basically stayed put because he likes the challenge of constantly building with the restrictions that they have on salary and things like that. It's more of a challenge to him. I think if you put him in a large market like the New York Mets, he would do very well because he would have some money to keep players he loves and things like that. So that would be an interesting pairing. And like I said, Sandy Alderson is great friends with Billy Beane, so I would not be shocked to see if it happened. The other part of that equation, Bob Melvin, he's been our manager for, I believe, the last 11 years. He's the most winning manager in A's history. So I definitely don't want to see him go, but at the same time, for him, the way that this season is going and how seasons in the past have gone, where it's constantly just retooling and then shipping off your best players and retooling again. I'd like to see what Bob can do in a major market, like I said, with the salary where he could actually keep the players he likes and, have some consistency there. Because Bob's been just a true pro dealing with the constant changes around, and every player I've ever heard, including Jerry Blevins earlier this week, who was an A, played for Bob Melvin. He said he's his favorite manager he's ever played for. So, and that's pretty much the consensus. So it would obviously be a bad spot to lose Bob. Billy, not so much. I think he's kind of stepped away from the day-to-day stuff. I think he's more of a, I don't know, a soundboard for the current GM. So I don't think he would be a huge loss, but Bob Melvin would be, in my mind, a very big loss. One thing I would like to probably see at the end of this season is a change at pitching coach. I think we've had some good starting pitchers and things like that. Especially, we haven't really had a true number one. Bassitt's been our number one, and Manaya's been the number two. Montes has pitched like a 5 at some points during the season. He's pitched like a number one at points in the season. So
yeah, not consistent.
But then the back half of the pitching rotation, we've had Cole Irvin. He's been good the first half of the season. He's been awful the second half. Caprillion, sorry, he's been up and down. He started really hot, but I think the innings have caught up to him, and now he's starting to pitch not so well. We've had to bring up Paul Blackburn, who's on his 5th, 6th retread through the A's pitching rotation. And then we brought up Dalton Jeffries to pitch, and he hurt his elbow right before his first start. So just frustrating timing, but there's a lot of things going on, and the bullpen's been awful. I don't want to get on my soapbox because I'm watching them collapse right now as we speak for the 3rd game in a row against the Mariners, when they really needed to bury these guys and take a strong push into the playoffs, but they've just whimpered. And I think there's 10 games left after this game, and they're 3 games back right now from the second wild card, so not a lot of time to catch up ground. And the way they're playing right now, I know you guys have heard this. I get sick of saying it because it's like a roller coaster. But at the end of this season, I don't feel like they're going to be in the playoffs. They should have been, but I think injuries are tough to overcome. But on the bright side, one good piece of news is Chris Bassitt is going to make his scheduled start tomorrow. So he's going to get called back up from the injured list and make his start. There's no innings limitation. They just said they're going to play it by ear. So hopefully he gets at least 2 more starts before the end of the season. And, he's really been impressive through this whole thing. Getting hit in the face, going through the surgery, recovery, he's just wanted to get back out there and pitch. And he said the good thing for him is, obviously he doesn't remember it, but he said, I'm not going to go out there scared because I've made millions of pitches throughout my career, and I've only got hit in the face once. So the chances of it happening again are not high. I'm just going to go out there and do what I can, try to help this team win. So that's very inspiring. I hope he does well, and I can't wait to see how he does tomorrow. So
it's going to be really good seeing him back on the mound. I mean, not just for your team, but I mean, he's a fun pitcher to watch for sure.
Yeah, and he's the heart and soul of the team, so I'm hoping it gives him a spark. But like I said, I'm not holding my breath. And let's move on from baseball. And what do you got going on with your Steelers?
Like we talked on the last podcast, like I said, I'm never going to be the person that uses injuries, as an excuse for one loss. But we got hit pretty hard with the injury bug. Little nervous going into this next week playing Cincinnati. I mean, I do think that we can pull off the win, but we have a very lengthy injury list this week. So Big Ben actually is listed with a pectoral strain, I guess. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, basically, they've already said that it's going to be based on pain tolerance, and knowing Big Ben, I'm pretty sure he'll play. And then for whatever reason, the groins just got nailed in Pittsburgh. Alex Highsmith, Joe Hayden, and then T.J. Watt actually went out with a groin as well. Devin Bush was out with a groin injury as well, but he was a full participation, which was great. Deontay Johnson, that last play of the game, supposedly the knee is nothing serious, so I'm hoping to see that he practices tomorrow. We'll see where all that goes, but obviously the big one on that list is T.J. Watt. Our defense is not the same without him. I'm really hoping to see everybody on this list back in the starting lineup. So we'll see what we have when we take the field, I guess, Sunday.
I think the one thing that'll benefit you is you are playing the Bengals, and you don't want to count on a team being like an easy win or anything like that, because
Right.
at the end of the day, an NFL team, like they say, any given Sunday.
Well, and it's a division game, so I'm never going to be one to just count it as a win.
Yeah, but I think of the teams that you could be facing, that's probably one of the better ones to face with some injured players. So
Yeah, I'm really hoping it's an opportunity for Najee to get going as well.
yeah,
He's had a tough outing, first two games, played some good defenses, so we'll see. Outside injuries, the only last thing that I really liked seeing, because it bugged me during the Raiders game, Big Ben Crosby hit him good.
a
I
couple
mean,
times.
he hit the ground a few times, and it bothered me really bad that our linemen weren't picking him up. And Zach Banner, who, if you've been listening or been paying attention to him, he's actually out injured right now. But he's one of our starting linemen, when he is healthy. And he basically tore into the whole offensive line, and they went over film and showed Big Ben getting nailed and then, packing himself back up and walking back to the huddle. And he basically said that it will not happen again. So I like seeing that leadership. To your note about Bassitt, with your A's, I like seeing that leadership, even with somebody who's obviously not making an impact on the field on game day. He was disappointed in his unit, his offensive line. So I really loved seeing him tear into them, and I'm interested to see. I don't want to see Big Ben get hit at all Sunday, for the record, but if he does, I think you're going to see a lineman there every time picking him up, and rightfully so. That's how you should be treating your quarterback.
Yeah, I actually remember
So I don't know.
seeing that a couple times, and I thought it was pretty weird. Especially like one of
Yeah,
those hits that Crosby was chopping down to hit the ball, and right as he went to chop, Ben got rid of it, and it hit, like, glanced off his helmet as he was chopping down, and like just wrecked him. And not one of the linemen even checked on him to see
yeah.
if he was okay. So thought that was pretty weird. But
No.
he's going to get hit because at this point in his career, he's pretty immobile. So
Oh yeah.
um,
He's shifty, but he doesn't have the movement he once did, and that's understandable.
yeah.
But
But the
when
good
it
news
does
is,
happen, they need to be there.
I don't think the Bengals have the pass rush that the Raiders have. So hopefully he gets a little bit of a break there. So
Hoping for the big W, since I'll be there.
yeah, that's exciting. I forgot that you were
Oh
going
yeah,
this week. So um,
absolutely.
yeah, I'll be watching that. Well, what time is that one? 11?
It'd be 1 o'clock there, but it'd be 11 for you.
Okay. Yeah, because I think the Raiders are on at 2 this week, if I remember right. So, but speaking of the Raiders, they, like you, have a pretty lengthy injury list. Um, Richie Incognito, Josh Jacobs, Dallin Levitt, and Rodney Teamer, they all did not practice today, which typically Wednesday is the day that they give um, all the veteran players the day off, or at least light practice. So these guys not practicing, obviously, Dallins, I think he got a concussion. He broke up that pass to, who was it? 11.
Claypool.
Claypool. He hit Claypool on that catch that basically ended the game. Um,
Yeah.
And I think he gave himself a concussion on that because he led with his head and hit him right in the elbow. Rodney Teamer, he didn't play last week. Josh Jacobs didn't play last week. And then Richie Incognito didn't play last week. They said Richie's getting close, but they don't want to say if he's going to be back this week or not. They said he's questionable. Jacobs, the way he looked week 1, I'm surprised they even put him out there. He was struggling with, I think it was an ankle injury on top of just he's always beat up for some reason. So I don't know if he's going to go this week. Honestly, the way that they've been playing without him, I'd rather just rest him up and get him completely healthy instead of trying to rush him back and re-injure himself again. Teamer, I don't know. He's not going to have a huge impact anyway. He's going to be the second or third safety to come off the bench. So obviously you like to have depth there, and with Levitt out, that's your other backup safety. So hopefully one of them can go. Levitt's not really an impact player, but like I said, he did make that one play to break up the pass. I think he only had 8 snaps anyway. So we're going up against Miami this week, and Miami's coming off a 35-0 loss to the Buffalo Bills. So, and Tua Tagovailoa,
possibly not playing Tua.
Yeah, he's out officially. He has broken ribs,
right.
So it's going to be, I'm trying to remember who their backup is. Jacoby
Brissett.
Yep. So they'll be facing him. I don't want to say any game's going to be an easy walk in the park, but it is at home.
No, but it's an uphill battle for them for sure.
Yeah, but they're going to be coming in fired up after losing 35-0. So, like you said, you don't want to ever count on a win just on paper, because you know what happens when the team overlooks someone. So, but I would say I expect this to be a pretty easy win for the Raiders. So,
I agree. Do you want to dive into our picks then?
Yeah, one sec. One last thing on the Raiders. They did release Nevin Lawson, which he just got done with his 2-week suspension for performance-enhancing substances. And I think, Jesus, I can't think of any names today. Their corner, let me just look it up. My goodness. I don't know.
Are you talking about your rookie?
Yeah. The guy that I'm fired up about, and for some reason I can't remember his name.
Hobbs.
There you go. Nate Hobbs has played very well. You don't want to get too excited about him because obviously he's a rookie, but he is playing better than I think Lawson has ever played for us. And the Jaguars quickly scooped up Nevin Lawson. Word was the Raiders were going to try to get him back on the practice squad in case of injuries, but Jags came in and scooped him up. So he will be playing for the Jags on their NFL roster, not on their practice squad. So good for him. Like I said, no ill will towards him. He just never made a play in 96 career games at cornerback, so I didn't want to see him on our team. So yeah, let's take a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll go into the picks for week 3.
Sounds good. All right, welcome back. We're going to dive into this week's NFL games, kind of our thoughts on who's going to win and why. We got a pretty tight race on our pick'ems right now going into week 3. So, I mean, that always makes it fun. So we'll see how this week shakes things out. But starting off is Carolina at Houston. I know we both actually have the same pick here, but I'm definitely picking Carolina in this. They've kind of surprised me. They obviously have a lot of talent on that team with CMC, but I mean, they've put together some good games. Being 2-0 right now is a big statement for them.
I think. So
yeah,
definitely.
And I was really surprised. I mean, I thought they're always gonna be deadly because of players like CMC, but I didn't expect him to play this well out the gate. So they're going against a Texans team that, let's just face it, they're not going to be the greatest team. And I believe Tyrod is also
He's out.
waiting to see if he is out. He's
Yep.
official.
Davis Mills will be starting that one.
Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and say that's definitely a Carolina win. I see. I think CMC is going to go off, get Bill some fantasy points, and that's just how I see that one going down. And do you have anything to add for that game?
Well, I'm just going to pump the brakes, well, at least for myself, on them being a good team, even. So far, they've played the Jets, and then they played the Saints. With the Saints, obviously had a great week one. This past week, they got killed by the Panthers. But I think they had 8 coaches and players that were out due to COVID restrictions. So
Yeah.
I think it was one of those weeks where you kind of just throw it away, so to speak. Obviously, I am taking the Panthers. I think they're the better team than the Texans, especially without Tyrod Taylor. You saw how the Texans played after Tyrod went out last week. He was actually, I think he had him ahead 14-0 at one point in that game, and then after he went out, they didn't score again against the Browns, and the Browns are a good team. So I really feel bad for Tyrod Taylor because of all the things that have gone wrong in his career.
Yeah, I was really excited for him to get the nod and being able to go out, especially for a team like Houston that, they're not expecting to have, this amazing season this year. So he was able to come in and just play, no pressure. He's always been a talented quarterback, but like you said, he's just, anything that could go wrong has happened basically everywhere he's gone, whether it be another quarterback coming in, injuries, whatever. He's just always had problems.
Yep.
So I feel for him.
So, yeah, like I said, taking the Panthers, but I don't think they're a great team. But obviously I'll take the CMC points.
And that's why I'm surprised they're 2-0. But it's at the end of the day they're 2-0.
Panthers are the Broncos are 2-0 as well, but they've played the Giants and the Jacksonville Jaguars. So there are some teams that I think are. It's just a matter of the matchups that they've played so far. So as we get into week 7 and 8, you'll start to see what teams actually are. So that's why these early week picks are always tough to do. But the next game we're going to talk about is the Tennessee and Indianapolis Colts. Tennessee Titans, Indianapolis Colts. In this game, I've got the Titans. They're coming off that big win against Seattle where they came back, scored 14 points to tie it, and then won in overtime.
Yeah.
Obviously, Derrick Henry had an awesome game. And once again, the first half of the game, you could tell Todd Downing just doesn't know how to call a game. Offense looked stale, and then they got back to doing what they were doing a lot last year and started to see some success. So Colts are beat up. Carson Wentz, I think he was questionable to play in this game. They did get their left tackle that had the same injury back this week, that had the same injury as Carson Wentz. So that'll be a lift, but obviously if Carson can't go, I don't know how much of a downgrade their backup is, but enough that even if Carson's healthy, I think I'd still take the Titans in this one. So.
And I would agree. I also have Tennessee picked. I think in this instance, Derrick Henry's just too strong of a running back for the Colts defense, and from there, it's going to open up the field for everything else Tannehill's going to be doing. So I think this team has too much talent for them not to have a breakout game, and I kind of see it being this one. Obviously, coming off the Seattle game, it was a good game, but you'd rather win them a little more decisively than that.
Oh, for sure.
And I think they'll pull that off this week.
Go ahead. No, I was just going to say the Colts actually played pretty well against the Rams and probably
They
should have
did.
won that game. And they do have some talent, so I don't want to diminish that. But like I said, I just think it's in Tennessee and it's a division game. Titans coming off that big win. I think they'll get the win in that one. So
Absolutely. And I guess moving into our next one, it's Atlanta at Giants, New York Giants. We're a little split here, but I actually have the Giants taking this one. I mean, you're talking 2-0-2 teams here. At least for me, I feel like what I've seen out of New York has been a little more optimistic. Um, I don't think either team has been impressive yet, obviously. I just don't see. I don't know. I've lost all faith in Atlanta ever since the Super Bowl fiasco. So it takes a lot for me to ever be in their corner. And I don't know. I just like to see the Giants take that win.
yeah, I haven't seen much from either team. I think the Giants have looked pretty lost. I don't think they have a ton of playmakers. They've got Sterling Shepard, and then they have Saquon Barkley, and I think that's about it for their offensive weapons.
And he's hasn't gotten going yet either.
Yeah, I think this is a game that he could probably get going, but Atlanta was playing Tampa Bay pretty closely in that first half, and Tampa Bay's obviously a great team. So Arthur Smith, he's the new head coach of Atlanta, so I wasn't expecting them to get off to a hot start. Obviously, installing a new system and all that with Matt Ryan. But I think this is probably the week they'll get going, and I have Atlanta in this one. Moving on, we've got Kansas City coming off their loss to the Ravens in that one go to overtime, or was it fourth quarter?
Yeah.
No, I think it was regulation.
I was
Doesn't
thinking
matter.
it
Came
went
down
overtime.
to the end.
It was a great game.
Chiefs
It was
lost
an amazing game.
36-35 to the Ravens. Ravens went for it on 4th and 1 to seal that game and not put the ball back in Mahomes' hands. Obviously, those types, and honestly, like last week, we both picked Kansas City, expecting them to win. I didn't think the Ravens could get in a shootout and win, but they did, and it was pretty impressive. So I think they're going to take some revenge on the Chargers, and Chargers charged the hell out of their last game against Dallas. So I think they'll come in hungry, but Chiefs have more talent on their roster, and Chargers still can't put away games, so I think that's who's going to win.
Yeah, I mean, part of me, the Chargers would be a team I'd love to go for in that situation. I would love an upset win, but the Chiefs are too stacked for the Chargers to compete in that game, as far as I'm concerned. I think especially Tyreek Hill, he had a really, really quiet game against the Ravens. They basically isolated him the whole game. So I'm picturing him having a pretty breakout game against the Chargers. He's going to have a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. So, yeah. I mean, I'm in agreement. Kansas City's going to take that one for sure. Do you have anything else to add for that one?
No, I think that's. I don't know.
Okay.
I wish they could. I hope they tie. How about that?
It's amazing how often I am hopeful for ties. Going to the end of that Chiefs-Ravens game, I was like, come on, tie. Just go into overtime and tie. With that being said, we'll move into, obviously, the game I care about the most this week. Lucky enough to be going to Pittsburgh this weekend and get to watch the Bengals come to town. So
make sure
I'm really hoping for a win here, obviously.
So you can post them.
I will absolutely take some photos. I mean, I think obviously injuries is a concern for us, but even with those going into that game, I'm really looking, like I said, for Najee Harris to take off this week. I'm looking for a big game from him, both in the passing game and in the run game. Even with his, obviously, I mean, he's not blown up the stat columns in these first two games. You can still see it. It's apparent what he brings to the table. So I'm very, very excited. I think this will be a bounce back game for us. I really do think Big Ben's going to have a better game as well. He got beat up like we talked about. I think the line was put on notice, and I'm looking for him to respond. So obviously, I'm biased, but I'm taking Pittsburgh.
Yeah. I'm also going Pittsburgh in this one. I think it's going to be another close, lower scoring game. Um, I don't know what the over-under is on this one, but it's another one I'd probably take the under on. And
Yeah.
one thing I'm going to say, former Poke Logan J. Wilson, he's going to have a pick in this one.
Oh.
Calling it. So, no, I still got Steelers, like I said, probably by 3 or 4. But I think they're going to win this one. And I think Najee, like you said, will have a decent game. So, moving on to the next one, we've got Cleveland against Chicago. Going to take the Browns in this one. I think they're too talented, and obviously they got Andy Dalton's out for the Bears, so it'll be Justin Fields' first start. Not that I don't believe in him. I think he's going to be a great quarterback, but this is going to be his welcome to the NFL moment, and you saw how that worked out for him in the preseason. He had a couple good flashes, but he also got hit a couple times and had some questionable throws. So I think the Browns are too talented. It's in Cleveland, so I'm going to take the Cleveland Browns in this one.
And the only thing I would add to this game, and I'm actually in agreement with you, I do see the Browns taking this game because I do think they're a superior team. The only two things I would add, food for thought, is Jarvis Landry's out for a couple weeks. He went down in the last game, so that is a big loss for their passing game. And then basically the only way I see Chicago winning this game is if Fields comes in and just balls out. So we'll see. I'm with you. I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be a rough first start for him. Cleveland has a good defense. Obviously, I'm in agreement. Cleveland's going to take that game.
Yeah, well, and I think OBJ's out until at least next week as well, so they'll be short on pass catchers, but they have Chubb and they have Kareem Hunt, so I don't think they're going to need them.
Correct. So. No, I think they're going to run all over them. Moving into the next game, another division rival for me. Unfortunately, picking two of them to win this week. I'm also picking Baltimore. They're going to Detroit to take on a very beat up, down in the dumps Detroit Lions. I always feel bad for the Lions. Some of it's because I've always been a big Stafford fan. Obviously, he's not there this year, going to the Rams, but I always have a soft spot for the Lions. I always want them to do well, and they always give me the same results.
Yeah.
I think Baltimore is, they're running on a high right now. Everything's working for them. I think they'll have the advantage of not playing against a high-powered offense on the other side of the field.
Except when they go against the Raiders. One thing I forgot to say about the Bears before we jump. Well, I'll give my pick in just a sec, but I think the Bears are going to be looking to offload Khalil Mack. He hasn't had a ton of an impact on their defense, probably in the last year, roughly. He didn't have much of an impact last year, and he hasn't made a play yet this year either. So I know the Raiders contacted them, just kicking the tires to see if they were willing to trade him back to the Raiders. They said no instantly, but I think as they continue to slip away out of the playoff race, they'll be a lot more willing to move him, especially with the salary that he has. They might have to eat some of it, but anyway, just want to get that on the record because I think it's going to happen before Week 8. So, but yeah, moving into the Ravens and Lions game, like you said, I've always had a soft spot for Detroit as well, not because of Matt Stafford, but because of one, Barry Sanders, which was my favorite NFL player to ever play. So loved watching him play. Always had a soft spot for the Lions because of him. And like you said, they've never won. they're going to have a rough season this year. I like the direction they're going. They actually played pretty well against Green Bay up until the third quarter. Did you see
They
that?
really did.
Did you see that prop bet that guy had?
I
So
didn't.
he had a 16-way parlay, and if the Lions would have won against the Packers, or I guess covered the 12 point, the hell am I, line? I don't know.
The line.
Spread. There we go. Spread. If they would have covered the spread, he would have won $733,000 on this parlay. BetMGM actually gave him an exception and allowed him to cash out, even though he was using like the free $25 for signing up. So he won $133,000, even though he didn't hit on that last leg of the parlay. So Lions, if they would have won, he would have been $733,000 richer. But anyway,
that's crazy.
Taking the Ravens to win this one. You've already said why. They're the better team. They're coming off a big win in Kansas City, so don't think we need to go any deeper than that. Next game is going to be New Orleans and the Patriots. New Orleans coming off the rough loss, and the Patriots coming off the big win against the Jets. They looked really good. Mac Jones looked really good, so a lot of good things going on there. They're obviously happy. Their defense scored me a ton of points, so happy with that. But with that being said, I'm taking the Saints in this one to rebound. Like I said, I don't put too much into their loss against the Panthers with all those people out. I think they had like an assistant line coach or something calling plays or something like that. So it's obviously not an ideal situation, but they should be recovered from that and have their starters and everything back to going. So I'm taking the Saints in this one on the road in New England.
I am also taking New Orleans. You're welcome, Dad. I mean, I have the same reasoning. I'm not looking at the New Orleans loss, as a normal loss. Obviously, there's some circumstances there, and the same goes for New England's win last week. The Jets are one of those teams this season that it's easy to look good against. So
yeah,
I think it'll work out in New Orleans' favor, and I'm looking for old Jameis Winston to go off again.
Yeah. I don't think he's going to go off because the Patriots have a good defense, but I think he's going to do enough to win. And
I don't think it'll be no 4-touchdown game, but I'm looking to see him rebound.
4 touchdowns, 0 picks. That's not Jameis-like.
Yeah.
But no, I think the reason the Patriots pick was so easy for me last week is Bill Belichick eats rookie quarterbacks alive, and Zach Wilson was no exception. He threw 4 interceptions, no touchdowns, and I think he only had like 100-something yards passing. So not a good line to look at. But moving on to the next one, we got Cardinals Jags.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer here. I would say, all right, maybe it's a little extreme to say it, but I think the darling of this season so far is Arizona right now. Obviously, they have talent on that roster, and you expect them to play well. But I've been pretty blown away, honestly, with how complete they've been playing. Kyler Murray is amazing. The way he moves, honestly, I think he transcends even Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson. Some of the plays that he pulls off are just stupid.
Yeah, I think he's a good combo
it doesn't make
of
sense.
Those two.
I agree. They may each be perhaps better at what they do, but I do think he is a bit of a hybrid of the two.
For sure.
So without going too much further into it, I do not see Jacksonville pulling off an upset win against Arizona.
Yeah, Jacksonville. They might be picking towards the top of the draft again this upcoming season, or off season. Trevor Lawrence. A lot of people compared him to Peyton Manning coming out of the draft, and he's performing a lot like Peyton Manning did in his rookie season. So obviously, with Zach Wilson and Trevor Lawrence, they're getting a major welcome to the NFL moment right now. And I imagine they'll probably start to perform a little bit better towards the end of the season once they've had, half a season under their belt and see what a lot of these teams are starting to throw at them. So, um, easy pick for me, Cardinals. Hopefully they don't make me bite my tongue on that, but I don't see that happening unless Kyler gets hurt or something. But Chandler Jones, he's going to be hitting old Trevor Lawrence a few times, I think.
Yeah, he's gonna have a heyday.
Next game we
Once,
got is Washington and the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo. Who you got for that one?
I mean, I got to go with our boy here. I think obviously the Bills didn't start the season the way they had anticipated. Obviously losing week one to the Steelers, everyone picked them to win that game. I think it's one of those things that for a team like them, I think it was probably good for them to get popped in the mouth week one. Obviously, they answered back the next week in tremendous fashion. And I think it'll be more of the same. I think Washington is a team, even before Fitzpatrick went down. I just don't think that they're just not on the same level as Buffalo.
Yeah.
Buffalo's defense is coming together, and even like Diggs last week, he had a slow start to the season, so he finally got going. And I just see Josh Allen having a big game.
Yeah.
More of what was expected of him this year, I think, is going to show up this game. So,
Well,
I
and
have Buffalo with the win.
yeah, for sure. And I think a lot of the Steelers game, that was the Steelers basically had all of training camp. They had all of the off season to work on
Yeah.
that game plan to beat the Bills. So now that it's week to week, I think and even like you said, before Fitzpatrick was hurt, I don't think this was gonna be a good game. Heineke's been
No.
playing okay, but it took Washington basically having the Giants jump off sides to get their first win, and the Giants aren't a good team. And I think the Bills are a very good team. Their offense hasn't got going yet, but like you said, the defense has been playing very good.
Well, and even the run game. I mean, obviously, 35-0. You're fired on all cylinders. But Singletary and I think Zach Moss came in and also had a pretty decent game. So
Yep.
between the two of them, I mean, if they get the run game and Josh Allen gets going, I mean, it's hard to see the Bills lose a game where that happens. So
Well, and I think Rousseau, their rookie, and I think he had 2 sacks in that game. So if he can get going, and
yeah.
like I said, offense even shows half of what they were last year, they're going to be a good team. So moving on from there, we got the Jets and the Broncos. Has anyone had a softer schedule than the Broncos to open the season?
I mean, I don't want to take anything away from the team that will be 3-0 going into week 4. But
I think they're going to
my
be
God,
4-0 because the next one's a layup too.
who do they play week 4?
I'm
I
pulling
haven't
it up
seen it
right
yet.
now. Let's see, week 4.
I just
The Donkeys have.
like if
Oh no! Never mind. Excuse me. They
if
have
I
the Ravens week 4.
okay.
So
Well,
that's
if they're
not a
going to lose
layup.
that game,
Yeah.
I'll get that one out of the way. If I could draw up how to start my season, I would have picked these teams. So yes, I mean it does take a little bit away, but at the same time, I also got to say that Bridgewater is doing the most with his opportunity right now, and I love seeing it. I've always been high on the kid. He's another one of those Tyrod Taylor types where he never really got a fair shake anywhere, especially with other quarterbacks coming into the system. As much as it probably pains you, I know you agree. For it happening with a Broncos quarterback, but I love seeing him do well. So it's been nice, and yes, it has been against less than stellar teams. But with that being said, I do have them winning once again. They will take the Jets out and be 3-0 going into week 4.
Yep. I don't have anything else to say to that. I mean, Jets, they have their quarterbacks banged up, rookie quarterback. They said he has a groin issue, I believe, or maybe it's a hamstring, so he's kind of going ginger on that in practice. They said it shouldn't
Yeah.
be bad enough that he misses the game. But even if he does play, I don't see this game going any way but the Broncos' way.
Yeah.
Like you said, Bridgewater, excited for him. Won't be excited for him if he's playing against the Raiders. But
Fair enough.
do you think he's the answer long term there? I mean, obviously we don't know how he's going to play for the length of the season, but if you had your
That's the big
crystal
thing.
ball, what do you think?
I'm gonna go ahead and say, because like I said, I've been high on him for a long time. I want to be in his corner. I think yes, they've played terrible teams, but he's looked crisp and he's excelled well enough that I do think that it's possible if he continues to play, well against better teams. Obviously, I think it'll go a long way, and if they're actually willing to, build around him. I don't know. I would love to see Bridgewater lead a successful team.
Yeah.
So I do think he has the skill set, and I mean he's been in the league a while now. I think he's also got some veteran leadership there that I think he could do well as a starting quarterback. So
Yeah.
I'm rooting for him.
The only thing that
Maybe not his
concerns
team.
me, yeah, exactly. The only thing that concerns me for him is their offensive line has never been strong. They've got great receivers. Obviously, Judy's out for, I want to say it was 6 to 8 weeks, so not as strong as it normally is, but they've got quite a bit of pass catchers there for him. But the line has not been strong. Defense is great, so obviously they haven't been tested yet this season, but on paper they should be good. So I think he's set up to have at least a decent year. But I'd be interested to see what they do at the draft. I think they'll do well enough. They're not going to be picking high enough to get a game-changing quarterback.
And Denver's going to be in that conversation if an Aaron Rodgers situation comes into play too. So that's the other reason I want him to do well, is because I still am concerned that if that's an opportunity that Denver's going to jump all over it.
Is it just me, or
just happened to him one more time?
Has Aaron Rodgers aged like 6 years in the last year?
Dude, I have seen so many memes this week about how terrible he looks.
He does.
The funniest one that I saw though was how did they put it? It was something about Nicolas Cage playing.
Yeah. Yep, I saw that one.
I think it was playing him in the story of his life, and he looked haggard, man. He looked like, and he came off of a rough start to his season. I get it. But he looks so much older.
He does.
Poor guy.
Anyway, next game is the one I care most about this week, and that's the Raiders and the Dolphins. I already alluded to it. I'm picking the Raiders in this one. I've already alluded to why. Dolphins are going to be without their starting quarterback. They got Jacoby Brissett, which is a capable backup. Obviously, he showed that he was capable of at least starting a couple games there in Indianapolis when he was the starter there. But Dolphins are coming off a 35-0 loss against the Bills, and the Bills' offense wasn't even clicking. So I think the Raiders, like I said, even without Josh Jacobs, I hope they rest him if he's not ready to go. I think Kenyon Drake and Peyton Barber, those two can carry the load at running back. We haven't been running the ball very much because we've faced, obviously, the Ravens and the Steelers. That's the one thing they want to take away from you right from the get-go. So we didn't force the issue. Once T.J. Watt went out, we didn't even try to run after that, except for when we were trying to kill the clock. So I would expect big numbers from Carr again in this game. Henry Ruggs, if he can keep doing what he did against the Steelers. Obviously, Darren Waller's clicking right now. Brian Edwards, like to see him. Yeah, Renfro. They've got all kinds of weapons on offense. As long as the offensive line holds up, Leatherwood's looks like he's going to be good to go. He was a full participant in practice today. Carr's a full participant in practice today. So I think they're going to have all the weapons they need to beat the Dolphins in this one.
And I'm actually in agreement with you. I do see Vegas taking this game for a couple reasons. As far as your run game, I mean, Kenyon Drake's also playing a former team here. I think I'm looking for him to have a big game. I know anybody that's listened, I've been high on him when I knew Bill picked him up. So I think that right now Carr is, he's running on all cylinders. That offense looks good, man. And honestly, the defense as well. The defense has been a really pleasant surprise.
Yeah.
Crosby's come into his own. Um,
And
I
Gakwe,
laugh because
he was a
go ahead.
limited participant, but it looks like he should be able to go this week too. So
I really like Crosby. He's one of those players that he's not a household name. Not everybody
he will be
knows of him. I
end of
think
this
he is.
season.
I think this is going to be a statement year for him. But I just think Vegas is firing on both sides of the ball right now, and Miami got exposed really bad against Buffalo. And I think Carr is going, especially. I'm saying it right now. I'm seeing Renfro being your most impact or your biggest impact at wide receiver
In this game?
I think he's gonna pick apart this defense, and that's why I also see Kenyon Drake being a huge impact out of the backfield.
Yeah.
I think
Did you
those two
see
guys are
what
going to expose this defense.
Matthew Berry said about Kenyon Drake today?
I didn't.
Dude obliterated him. He was like, he hasn't been relevant in 6 years except for like 8 games. And he's like, I hate him on the Raiders. They gave him a terrible contract. Dude went off. So hopefully he has a revenge game against
Well, I
his
hope he
former
proves him
team.
wrong.
Yeah. But moving on,
Absolutely.
we've got the Seattle Seahawks going into Minnesota to face the Vikings. I'm interested in your thoughts on this one.
So, I did pick Seattle. This was actually a really hard decision for me. I spent more time on this pick than any other pick on the list.
I'm glad to hear that.
I
It
don't
took
know.
me half a second of thought.
I feel like everybody's so high on Seattle or was so high on Seattle. I don't think that they are. I still don't think that they're an elite team right now, and this is one of those games where I can see. I think it would be funny for Minnesota to stun them and win this game. I do have Seattle picked. I think they're a superior team, but it just feels like that to me. And obviously, trying to get ahead on the pick'ems, I almost went Minnesota here. And I'll probably be thankful that I didn't.
It's not too
But
late
I
to
would love
change
to
it.
see them pull off the win here.
It's not
No, I'm
too late.
locked in, man.
I'd love to pick up another game on you right there.
As soon as it gets sent, man, it's locked in.
So, I know.
But I don't know. Let me hear your thoughts.
Well, the reason I wanted you to go first because I figured you had probably more analysis than I did, and that's probably true. Like I said, I went immediately. I was like Seattle. Obviously, they're coming off the tough loss to the Titans, and I think that style of offense is not ideal for the Seahawks. I don't think they have the size to tackle Derrick Henry. Dalvin Cook is obviously an impressive running back, but he's not the same style runner that's just going to run over you. There's only one Derrick Henry in this league, and that's for a reason.
For now.
Yeah. So I think the Seattle defense is a lot more accustomed to playing, your finesse backs, and they can get after the quarterback, and they're going to stop you from throwing. They do that, keep everything in front of you, tackle them, and then hope for turnovers, and that's typically what they do. Vikings are very susceptible to turnovers, and I don't believe in their quarterback at all. So this one is an easy one. Anytime I don't, I'm not 100% sure, I just pick the better quarterback, and Russell Wilson is light years ahead of Kirk Cousins. So,
well, 9 times out of 10, it's the way to go. The only thing that hung me up and the reason why I struggled so bad is because of the way they played Arizona.
Yeah.
Never in a million years did I think that game would be. I mean, it was very, at least in points, very similar to the Tennessee-Seattle game. I mean, I was really surprised that Minnesota was even able to hang in there and, stay in that fight. So
I mean, they should have won if they could just find a kicker.
I know.
I mean, they had a good kicker.
That's true. That is true.
They had Daniel Carlson, and they let him go.
Yes,
and he's been kicking well for the Raiders ever since. So thank you,
Yeah.
Minnesota, for bungling yet another kicker. And then we got the late night games. Oh no, we got one
Yes.
more 2
Oh, we
p.m.
got
slot.
one more.
So there's the
And
Tampa Bay.
it's a big one more.
It is a big one. Tampa Bay and the LA Rams. This one was pretty tough for me. Obviously, I have the Rams in our Super Bowl pick to take the NFC. But it's still early in the year. They're still feeling out Matthew Stafford and how he fits in that offense. And honestly, from the looks of it, he fits very well. I think they're going to be pretty impressed with him, and I think he's going to do well for them. But it's still early in the season, so typically I go with the more seasoned teams in matchups like this. Even though the Rams are at home, I've got the Bucs in this one, although I think it's going to be a pretty close game. So
yeah. You're absolutely right. I mean, as far as on paper, this probably should have been the most difficult game to pick. The only reason, I mean, I've already said it, I'm a huge Matthew Stafford fanboy, so I couldn't help myself. And Cooper Kupp went off for me in fantasy this past week. There's a connection there. It's very Brady and Edelman like.
yeah.
They just have a comfort level there, and Kupp is just unreal after the catch. So I'm looking to see more of that. And the big surprise there for me with the Rams is the run game. Obviously, with Cam Akers going down, that was a big letdown for them early on, and a lot of people actually kind of wrote off the Rams once that happened,
Yeah.
even with the Stafford acquisition. But Henderson, and then what's the other guy they picked up? Michael.
I'm looking right now because I was thinking the exact same thing. What's the other guy?
They've both. I mean, Henderson's ran really well. He's banged up this week, so we'll see if he gets the start or not. But I think it's Sam Michael.
Oh, Sony
They
Michel.
picked him up. Sony Michel.
There we go. From the
Totally
Patriots.
off. From the Patriots.
Yep,
yeah.
Yep.
I think they're just. I'm looking for them to get going, and actually, I'm looking for them to kind of play Tampa Bay football against Tampa Bay and end up coming out of there with the win.
Yeah.
They don't have Gronk, but they do have a stud tight end, and
I hope he goes off because I got him. Higbee.
I figured you would be of that opinion. I did see you picked him up, but I got to go with Matthew Stafford.
Yeah, and I can't fault you for that. One note: AB is on the COVID list, although he is vaccinated, so I think he can come back with 2 negative tests.
Right.
So he will probably play in this game. He's been playing really well. Gronk has had 2 touchdowns in the first 2 games each, so 4 total. That's pretty good. I think the Rams are going to play this one close, but like I said, I just think Tampa Bay's too much right now. Later in the season, NFC Championship, I'm going to go with the Rams if it comes up. I know I can't remember who it is, one of your friends said Rams are the 3rd best team in the division. And
yeah, Raphael told me that.
Yeah, so we'll
he's
see
a Niners fan, though. He was just mad because of how I picked.
Well, and we'll get to the 49ers.
I hope he's listening.
They're the 6 p.m. game against the Packers. This one was probably the toughest one for me to pick because of how bad the Packers looked the first week. Obviously, they played the Lions, so you got to temper expectations based off of that game. 49ers haven't looked great. They've obviously won both their games, but they let the Lions back in that first one, and then they only won, I think it was 18-11 or something like that. This last one. Let me pull that up real quick. Let me hear your thoughts while I'm looking that up.
I'll be completely honest with you. I agree with basically everything you said. This was absolutely trying to get a split on the picks. Because I thought John was also going to pick Green Bay, which he picked San Francisco.
I can't wait to hear his
me.
reasoning on that. But
I would love to hear his thoughts. I actually this was honestly one of those picks that I'm hoping to have them stun Green Bay and get up a pick on you guys. I will say that San Francisco has some very interesting pieces. Obviously, they have some amazing players over there with Bosa and Kettle, and I mean they have some good players, but I mean on paper you would expect Aaron Rodgers to win this game, but I'm really hoping San Francisco pulls it off.
Yeah, and honestly, I thought they were going to play so well against the Lions and the Eagles that was going to build up Garoppolo's trade value. We talked about that before the season started, and
Right.
honestly, he hasn't played that well. They've put Trey Lance in some situations, putting him on just as a change-up, but he really hasn't played that much. And I know they want to bring him up sort of slow, but I think he's probably as close to ready for this offense as he's going to be. Obviously, the further you get into the season, the more prep work he's done and all that. But yeah, they only won 17-11 against the Eagles, that I don't think are a very good team. So Green Bay played very well against the Lions. Like I said, you can't put too much into that, but they played better than the 49ers did against the Lions. First half was a different story than the second half, but I went with the Packers in this one just because of Aaron Rodgers, basically. Like I said, when you don't know, go with a better quarterback. Even though Rodgers had a terrible first game, I still feel like he's a better quarterback than Garoppolo. I think there's a lot of quarterbacks in the league that are better than Garoppolo. So went with Packers in this one. Really just kind of a coin flip. So we'll see what happens in that one. I'm definitely interested to watch this one. So
I agree, and actually, I have the same thoughts on the next game. I know that you've said you're not very high on Philadelphia, but this was another one that was maybe I could have gone either way. I'm definitely not a Ezekiel Elliott fan, and I think as long as they're
hitched to that money train, unless they can get someone to trade for him. But
that's what I mean. I feel like that's always going to hold them back a little bit. I don't know. I was really impressed with Dallas week 1. I really thought they played well, obviously against Tampa Bay. And then when they played week 2 against the Chargers, I was really surprised at how awful. I shouldn't say awful. I expected them to run away with that game, and it just never happened. And I'm still stuck on Jalen putting together a good season. So ultimately, that's what it came down to, and that's why I went with Philadelphia.
Yeah, and I went the other side on this one, and the main reason I did that is Dallas is at home. The other portion of that is I picked the Cowboys to win this division. I'm not high on the Eagles. Jalen Hurts, right. I think he could be a capable quarterback. I just don't. I mean, I don't know. He was the one that went from, what was it, Alabama, wasn't playing very well there. Then he went to Oklahoma and won the.
Yeah.
Did he win the Heisman? I don't know. I think he was up there with the award finalists. So if he didn't win it, he was up there as a finalist. Either way, when you can't cut it at Alabama with all those weapons around you, it makes it hard to believe in you. Obviously, he did well in Oklahoma, but he didn't blow the doors off anyone.
True.
So,
no, he just shows flashes, and I think that's why people, and myself included, that's why people get excited about him.
Yeah.
Because when he flashes, I mean, it's something else, but it's also not week in, week, every single week. So.
Yeah. Well, and Dallas beat the Chargers. The Chargers are on paper a good team. Philadelphia, who did they beat week 1? Pulling it up right now. Let's see. Why does it not show previous weeks? Come on, people.
Let's see.
That's preseason. Falcons.
Oh, they beat the Falcons.
Yeah. Falcons haven't looked good.
Killed them.
Yeah. Falcons haven't looked good, so I don't put a ton of stock in that, but we'll see.
Even though he picked them against the Giants.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Well, the Giants are worse, so.
Oh, yeah, they're in the same boat.
So, yeah, I'm going Dallas on this one. I think it'll be a close game, but I think Dak's the better quarterback of the two, and Dallas is at home. CeeDee Lamb's a great weapon. They got Amari Cooper. If I think if Pollard can get some more carries over Zeke, I mean, obviously you don't
He
want to.
was impressive.
And the thing that pisses me off about that is I drafted him as my like potential boom pick and
Right.
dropped him after week 1 because I think he only had like 4 carries, and then he goes off in week 2, and tried to pick him up on waivers, drop Latavius Murray, couldn't get it because
I'm I'm pretty sure I'm playing him this week, by
when
the
you're
way.
the second best team in the entire league, waivers don't typically go your way, so
That's what you get.
it's fine.
Let's see.
I think
No.
that's all I really had to talk about in terms of sports. Anything else you wanted to add before we jump on to another topic that I wanted to talk about?
No, let's have at it. What do you got?
All right, so tomorrow is
Oh,
September
here we go.
23rd. For those of you that know me well, yes, the D, and not that D, Diablo.
And not Dallas.
Diablo II Resurrected comes out tomorrow. Releases at 9. I actually already had time off of work because my wife is supposed to be leaving town. So anyway, I'll be playing all weekend. Don't mind me. It's gonna be really good. I played the alpha, I played the beta, and it was fantastic. It basically reminded me of playing back in 2001, I think is when it came out, and I just
Yeah.
loved the hell out of that game. And yeah, it reminded me of that. It's got this cool mode where you can actually change it back to the classic graphics, which are awful.
Right.
But it's like you don't remember how bad it looked back then, and flipping back and forth, it's like, oh my god, this is putting me right back in there, just with
Right.
updated graphics, and I'm pumped. Can't wait. I know you said you might be getting it on Switch.
I don't know. I'm looking into it. I don't know which route I'm gonna go, but
I think you
it's
ought to
just one
get
of those
yourself
games.
an Xbox Series S. It's only $300. Gives
That's
you
true.
next gen graphics and all that fun stuff, and then
Yeah.
I'll get a copy and play with you on that.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into it. It's one of those games that I've been playing, or I had played the Diablo series all the way from its inception. So um, it's kind of one of those games that pre World of Warcraft, all that kind of stuff. It was kind of the big heavy hitter back in the day, and no one else really competed with it. So
It's still
um,
the best action RPG hack and slash ever
well,
made.
and yeah, Diablo 3 is still running strong servers, and
Diablo 3's garbage
it's
though.
just
Diablo
well,
2,
they streamlined everything.
I have been playing
Uh,
Diablo 2 literally for 20 years straight. Like,
uh,
obviously I take breaks in between, play different
yeah,
games, but I always find myself going back. So this is going to be.
it's just one of those. It's one of those games that they got the recipe right on the original Diablo. It's a cool setup. It's a cool play style, story, you name it, and they perfected it with Diablo 2, especially after the expansion.
Yeah.
So for them to re-release this is kind of exciting. So it's got me tempted. I will
Yes.
say that at the very least.
I can't wait. Like, starting at 9 a.m. tomorrow, I'll be playing.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited for you. I'll definitely be ready with some questions. I want to know how it goes.
I told my family I'll see you next week, so even though I'll be in the same house.
Don't come talk to me unless you're bringing me something to drink or eat. I got important things to do.
So anyway, that was the last note I had. Anything else you wanted to bring up before we cut her loose?
That's it. I'll try to get some pictures while I'm in Pittsburgh and post them to the web or the podcast pages, and I don't know. I'm looking forward to my weekend almost as much as Bill is looking forward to his weekend.
Probably about as much, I would guess.
Yeah, I would say so.
So
But
good
no,
luck out in
that's all I got.
Pittsburgh. We'll probably catch you on next Wednesday, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I probably won't be able to make Sunday, so.
Well, come on. You got a phone. We'll get you in the stadium. See what happens.
Priorities.
All right, man. We'll talk to you next week.
All righty. We'll see you later.